Good morning, traders. I am Emily Advani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, July 31st. We close out July trading today after a mixed day on Wall Street yesterday, following the latest from the Fed, the latest GDP numbers, and a host of corporate earnings. The Nasdaq was the day's only winner, adding 31 points or 0.15%. The Dow slipped later in the trading day to give up 171 points or 0.38%. The S&P 500 slipped 7 points or 0.12%. Bill, let's get into Thursday's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes. Good morning, Emily. I'm watching the S&Ps. We're having a very strong opening, up 0.90%, almost a full percentage point. That's odd, but that's a real bullish move. I will have to say that we are seeing these gains, and that is very nice. But we do have a couple things out there to kind of go over. I mean, first off, this morning's gains are based off of the earnings reports that we got last night from Microsoft and Meta, both of which delivered very strong earnings report. There were some other highlights in tech too, but outside of tech, the majority of companies out there that have been releasing earnings reports, they're kind of like a mixed bag. Kind of disappointing in some cases too. And you heard yesterday we had the Federal Reserve announcement on monetary policy where they kept policies flat. Now the problem here was the press conference, because Powell came across as hawkish on the press conference. He was asked about if they're overlooking the tariff situation, and he responded with, yes, we are overlooking the tariff situation because otherwise we'd be raising interest rates. That's scary. Okay, so, President Trump, he did announce a trade deal last night with South Korea. That's a positive. There's an agreement with Mexico that seems fluid and could get announced, before tomorrow. Canada, on the other hand, appears unlikely. Now, today, there's a federal court hearing that's beginning oral arguments today. And this is totally on President Trump on whether or not he has the right to claim economic emergency that allows him to impose tariffs. Because remember, the president doesn't impose tariffs, Congress does. Trump did it under Emergency Act, so it's not clear whether he really has this ability to do this or not. And the courts could deny him the right to push these tariffs out. And let's face it, if his tariff action, said if they deem that to be illegal, the market would take off. The key economic report today, PCE. PCE is a big one. Personal consumption expenditures. This is an inflation report. We're going to get that before the market, before the opening bell today. On the earnings front, Microsoft, Meta, WDC, eBay, Carvana, they all are trading higher this morning after earnings report. But Ferrari, which is RACE, RACE, ARM, Lam Research, World, WCOM, Anheuser-Busch, BUD, Ford, Robinhood, they're all trading lower after their earnings reports. After the bell today, you got earnings coming out from Apple, Amazon, KLAC, Coinbase, Cloudflare, ROKU, and Reddit. I mean, these are some big ones to watch. Turn our attention over to Europe this morning. We're seeing a mixed bag. I mean, Europe did kind of open up higher. There was some positivity being inflected into these markets because of those strong earnings reports that came in from Microsoft and Meta. And we saw the DAX trading higher, but the DAX has since moved lower. It's now down 0.1% or 24 points. And the FTSE's still holding on to gains. It's up about 40 points or 0.44%. Corporate earnings are really helping them to offset the losses that they're seeing in some of the mining stocks. Mining stocks are lower this morning because copper's getting hit. And copper is a key element because when copper rebounds, that means the market is about to take off, and copper is getting hit right now. So we got to be careful there. And then you look at the CAC in Paris, which is down 0.31%. Producer prices in France fell by 0.2% month over month in June. Looking at Asia for a second here, we got the Nikkei. The Nikkei rallied 1.02% to 415 points. Remember, the Nikkei was getting hit day after day after day. So a rebound was definitely overdue. The Bank of Japan came out and they left rates unchanged. That was a key aspect there. Hong Kong Hong Kong fell 1.60%, and the Shanghai in China fell 1.18%. They both got hit hard. And the decline was broad based. I mean, you saw weakness in property, consumer, financial stocks, and it was really due to the weakness in the latest economic data out of China. Because China's PMI data came in weak. I mean, the manufacturing PMI data came in at 49.3, which missed the estimates of 49.7. Remember, 50 shows growth. Under 50 is a decline, and so their decline was weak. There's that Politburo meeting. There could be an announcement tomorrow. We'll have to wait and see. Turn our attention over to oil this morning, and we're looking at oil, and oil is trading lower. It's down about 0.7%. You got WTI at $69.51. You got Brent at $72.74. Okay, oil's been on a good run. It's going to finish the month of July with a good gain, but there's an OPEC meeting this weekend, and a sizable production hike, which would be for September, is in the cards. That could lower oil prices, so we got to keep an eye on that. That's a concern moving forward. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market update, Emily.
We're tracking those latest trade developments, a key driver of markets lately. And as you mentioned, we are coming off the latest from the Fed yesterday. And you pointed to the comments from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell. It's really the market moving element there. And we have some key economic data, putting that together with yesterday's key economic data. So in just a moment, we will do a full rundown of economic events. But before we get there, earnings action does remain hot. As you pointed, a number of big earnings that came out, and positive from Meta and Microsoft, and some important ones to look ahead to. So let's start there and dive in deeper. Bill, what is going on in terms of earnings action?
The two key earnings reports last night came in from Meta and Microsoft. Meta beat by $1.24 on higher revenue. Microsoft beat by 27 cents on higher revenue. This morning you got Meta trading up over 11%. You got Microsoft trading up over 8.5%. Big day for both these firms. And their reports were good. I didn't see real weakness in them. Upcoming after the bell today, you got Amazon.com, ticker AMZN. Their EPS is $1.33. Expected move is 5.37%. Apple, ticker AAPL. Their EPS is $1.42. Expected move is 4.02% when they released it this afternoon after the closing bell. Emily.
And you'll be following those using your NewsWare. There is an earnings alert, which you can gather that information as it comes out. You're not trailing behind the major news outlets to pick it up and republish it. You're getting that professional news wire straight to your desk. And speaking of getting information straight to your desk, a ton of important economic indicators, and we're coupling this with the latest from the Fed. So we're really trying to gauge the health of the economy, where the Fed is going to go next. So following these indicators day in and day out is important. So Bill, what is going on in terms of the day's economic events?
8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we get jobless claims. Also at 8:30, you get the PCE report, personal income and outlays. 8:30, you also get employment cost index. 9:45, Chicago PMI. Listen, it's all about yesterday because, the Federal Reserve, they avoided signaling that a rate cut is imminent. Everybody's kind of hoping and expecting and gearing towards a September rate cut because there's a lot of political pressure on them to deliver a rate cut. You see the president, he's just beating on him with a stick. But every president, wants lower interest rates. That's normal. That doesn't mean the interest rates should be lower. That's why you have a division. And, they're accountable to Congress, but not the president. The president can yell all he wants. They can't just turn around and make political appointments based on, lower interest rates for a president. That doesn't happen. But I don't think we're going to get a rate cut in September. The fact of the matter is that there's no meeting in August. August we have the Jackson Hole event. That's going to be key. And if they skip, and that gives the Fed 2 months more of data to see if inflation is picking up, which will solidify their case as to not giving the markets a rate cut in September. Then they got October. If inflation continues to pick up, you can forget about it. I mean, the idea of a rate cut in an inflation environment that is increasing doesn't make sense. It's not going to happen. And you heard Powell yesterday. He's like, we are overlooking the tariff, the aspects of tariffs because we haven't raised rates. It's got to be worrisome, but we'll wait and see. We're going to see how the data unfolds. But that 8:30 today is going to be a big one with that PCE report today, Emily.
And Bill, you are watching that data day in and day out, right along with the Fed to make sure that you're capturing this information and getting a really good, solid picture of what is happening in the economy. And again, really trying to gather clues on what the Fed may be doing next. And you even told us yesterday that was commentary from Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell was going to be the key element in yesterday's announcement. And sure enough, it was. And speaking of key elements that you follow using your NewsWare, not just the earnings, the economic events, and of course, whatever's happening with the Fed, you're following things day in and day out, like merger news, guidance news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, and catalyst calls. You group your stocks together like your FANG stocks and your Dow 30 stocks. This allows you to track trends on the trading day every day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
Well, I'm doing a quick data check, and I'm cautious. I got to tell you, I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I have 4 higher, 1 unchanged, 25 lower. That kind of sums up the day. What's running? Apple's slightly higher. Amazon's showing some big gains. Microsoft's showing some good gains. And NVIDIA's showing some gains. Everything else is weakening. And that's kind of the environment we are. We're in a tech-based rally right now. But the rest of the market is not running along with it. You're looking at your FANG stocks. Apple's higher, Amazon higher, but Google and Netflix trading lower. Meta is obviously higher. That's concerning. And you look at some of the news behind the type, like Amazon. They announced a deal to pay the New York Times $20 to $25 million per year under its AI deal. That's a big deal for NYT, New York Times. And it's a good deal for Amazon because $20 to $25 million, that's pretty cheap and avoids lawsuits. Google, they're going to use AI to AIA checks to automatically apply restrictions. Tesla, they got their ride-hailing business in San Francisco underway, but there's no mention of self-driving cars in the release because California has not yet allowed Tesla to offer its robotic taxis. So that's coming. It's coming, but government regulations take a long time to work out. Then we're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks and JP Morgan. JP Morgan did a deal to provide customers the ability to link their bank accounts with coin-based wallets. Now, on the clearing side, FX trading and equities you always needed 2 separate accounts. It's a clearing issue, but there are ways around it, and JP Morgan is offering it because they're self-clearing. UK watchdog doubles down on their AWS Microsoft competition concerns under their new tech law. Not good for either one of them, but there's going to be more to that story playing out over the next few months. In merger news, Aviva is in discussion for a $1 billion deal to take over a company called Gigamesh. In terms of guidance news, Microsoft expects their 2026 CapEx to moderate versus 2025. Because remember, they're spending money, they're burning through cash right now. Guardian Health, that's ticker GH, they raised their full year 2025 revenue view to 915 to 925 million. The street estimate had it at 885. That's a big uptick. Meta Platform sees Q3 revenue 47.5 billion to 50.5 billion. Street estimate, we're at 46.29. They're going higher. ARM Holdings, ticker ARM. They see Q2 EPS coming in 29 cents to 37 cents. Street estimates 35 cents. Might be a little high. Let's talk shareholders meetings. Who's having a shareholders meeting today? Ralph Lauren, ticker RL. They're having a shareholders meeting. Starts at 9 a.m. In terms of buyback news, we got Borg Warner, ticker BWA, Boy William Apple. They announced a $1 billion stock repurchasing plan. And that's what I have for you in terms of news hitting the tape this morning, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Well, it's been a busy couple of days on Wall Street, lots of data and information. Last day in July. What is your pick of the day today?
I'm going to go with Cloudflare, which is ticker NET, Nancy Edward Tom. I mean, this is an interesting one to me. The fact of the matter is earnings are out after the bell. The EPS is 18 cents and the expected move is 11.51%. Call volume yesterday, 9,272 versus 3,164. That's, not 3-1, but it's good. Open interest, 109,488 to 77,059. Positive. Major brokers do like the stock. They've been raising price targets. And you look at the guidance last quarter, it seemed a little bit conservative. So, I do like the opportunity here. I think this could be something. But me, I'm always looking for a bit of a discount, and I'm always worried about, the economic reports coming out. So I'm going to say get in 201.80-ish, and though the stock's trading 203.31 to 204.90, I'm saying 201.80 because I could see the PCE report coming in hot, which causes some of the market to fall back. So I'm going to stick with my price target of 201.80 for NET, Nancy Edward Tom, Cloudflare. But that's my pick of the day, Emily.
Balancing that data with the day's expected economic indicators, we will follow Cloudflare along with you. And coming up, we will do a recap on yesterday's pick of the day before we sign off. So stick with us through that. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, let's see what we have here. First off, today's the last day of the month, so you can expect there's an S&P rebalancing going on after the close. I believe it's today. AAPL, ticker APP, and Hood, HOOD, are two names that have been thrown around. Borg Warner announced new contract wins with Asian and European OEMs. It's positive. CVS came out with a good earnings report. Says clear opportunities for outperformance in 2025. Moderna, mRNA, they're going to reduce their global workforce by 10% in a restructuring move. Biogen, ticker BIIB, they raised their full year 2025 guidance after a strong earnings beat. Moderna, they are releasing earnings tomorrow morning. Expected move, it's like $3. Call put ratio 0. Put call ratio is 0.62. That's what I have for you in terms of news in the day this morning.
Okay, Bill, before we get to trading on this Thursday, let's do that check-in on yesterday's pick of the day, which was Dexcom. They did release earnings after the bell yesterday. Earnings came in at an adjusted 48 cents per share, and that was ahead of the 44 cents expected and up nearly 12% from a year earlier. Revenue rose 15% to $1.157 billion, including a $6 million gain from currency exchange rates. Analysts were looking for revenue of $1.125 billion. They also raised their full year 2025 guidance to a range of $4.6 billion to $4.625 billion. And the company named a new CEO. So, Bill, it was overall a strong report, positive elements in there, and then the new CEO came. So how did your call work out?
Look at the facts. Stock opened up yesterday at $89.35, and it fell down to $88.10. I was like 88.50 because I was in between the 88 and 89. So, yeah, you could have gotten a good entry price there, but then it closed at $89.06. Now, after the earnings, the stock actually popped. It actually jumped to $93.69. And then the word of the CEO change happened, and the stock turned on a dime. And it's trading lower. It's trading around 88,000 now. It's 87 to 87.70 right now. And it's due to the change in management, a change in leadership. This is what causes, a lot of stocks to pull back when you change that leadership. So, this is not likely to infect the stock all day, just like maybe the first half hour of the trading day. I expect to see some gains in here. I expect this thing to move today because that earnings report was not bad. It's just there's caution in the air, and there's players out there that are selling the stock because of the change in leadership. They're not selling all the positions, some portion of it, just to be sure that there's no real craziness with the change in management. And the old CEO, he's not going anywhere. He's still going to be on the board. So, in my opinion, from what I've seen over the years, this will turn around. Just give it a little time. But right now, if it did beat the 1% initially off of it. But it is trading lower, but I say wait a little longer and you'll see this one turn around. But that's what happened with the XCM, Emily.
We will call that one when there was a chance for that 1%, but we also will keep an eye on that. As you said, it may come back from some of those losses based off that announcement. And we will check in with you tomorrow about today's Cloudflare pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week at NewsWare's Trade Talk when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Advani, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.